The Wana Panapa Caves Tragedy. On January 29, 2017, 32-year-old Gregory Wilhelm was vacationing in Maui, Hawaii, with three friends. Their trip took them to Wana Panapa State Park, a stunning location known for its picturesque caves and crystal-clear pools. The four friends, two men and two women, decided to take a swim in one of the well-lit pools at the cave's entrance, just as many tourists had done before them. While the women stayed near the pool, Gregory, eager to explore, convinced his male friend to join him inside the cave. Lacking proper equipment, Gregory improvised by using his phone as a flashlight, placing it inside a plastic bag to keep it dry. If they had planned for cave diving, they might have brought more suitable lighting and gear. As they ventured deeper, they encountered waist-deep water and a large boulder blocking their way. Beneath the boulder was a deep underwater passage. Though they lacked diving equipment, they decided to take a quick dive, just long enough to explore and resurface. Gregory led the way, his phone providing the only source of light. However, the passage was much deeper than they anticipated. Gregory, driven by curiosity, continued swimming forward, while his friend grew nervous and turned back, leaving Gregory alone in the pitch-black cave. Soon, Gregory realized he needed air. He turned around but was surrounded by complete darkness, disoriented and unable to locate the exit. In desperation, he found a small air pocket, but the unpredictable cave environment was working against him. The water level shifted with time, and strong currents made navigating back nearly impossible. Forced to make a split-second decision before running out of oxygen, Gregory pushed further into the cave. Meanwhile, his friends surfaced, but there was no sign of Gregory. The two women, realizing something was terribly wrong, entered the cave and found Gregory's friend in a state of panic. Understanding that time was critical, his friend re-entered the cave in total darkness, instructing the women to scream so he could use their voices as a guide. On his third dive, he spotted a faint light in the distance. It was Gregory's phone flashlight. However, when he picked it up, Gregory was nowhere to be seen. The group rushed out to call emergency services. Later reports revealed that Gregory had become lost in a tight underwater passage, repeatedly trying and failing to retrace his steps. Panic set in, and he ultimately drowned in the darkness. Rescuers later found his body 75 feet, 23 meters, deep inside the cave. The Goss Canyon Tragedy. On September 17, 2000, brothers Michael and Paul Hayden decided to explore an abandoned well cave in Goss Canyon, La Crescenta, California. The cave was part of their childhood memories, a place they had visited many times with their siblings. However, this time would be different. The cave featured dry ledges, rocky holes, and a deep water pool approximately 100 feet, 30 meters deep. Paul, an elite Air Force pararescue specialist and an experienced scuba diver, led the way. Equipped with 2 hours of air, a GoPro camera on his head, and a rope tether system attached to a boulder, he descended while Michael remained at the surface, monitoring the rope. For the first 20 minutes, their communication system worked. Michael would tug the rope, and Paul would respond in kind. Then suddenly there was no response. When Michael pulled again, the rope was tight and immobile. Alarmed, he pulled as hard as he could, but nothing changed. Realizing something was wrong, Michael rushed to get help. Rescuers arrived quickly, but when they analyzed Paul's GoPro footage, they discovered the tragic sequence of events. Paul had surfaced inside an air pocket within the cave, removing his regulator to breathe. However, the air was contaminated with toxic gases such as carbon dioxide, produced by decaying organic material and rock erosion. As a result, he lost consciousness almost instantly. His footage showed him slipping underwater, unable to reattach his regulator. He drowned within minutes. The Santa Rosa Blue Hole disaster. On March 26, 2016, two skilled cave divers, Mike Young and Navy veteran Shane Thompson, set out to explore the newly reopened Santa Rosa Blue Hole cave system in New Mexico. The site had been sealed in 1976 after two divers perished, but in 2016, a team of 10 experts, including Mike and Shane, reopened the tunnels for further exploration. On their third and final day of diving, Mike and Shane planned to explore a tight spot at 140 feet, 43 meters, moving deeper into the cave. Mike instructed Shane to wait at 165 feet, 50 meters, and not go any further. However, as soon as Mike disappeared from view, Shane ignored the plan and followed him into the deeper, narrow tunnels. The cave passages were filled with boulders, sharp turns, and silt that severely reduced visibility. As Shane swam forward, his back-mounted rebreather got caught on a protruding rock. He twisted and pulled, trying to free himself, but only wedged himself tighter. Mike, unaware of Shane's presence, suddenly bumped into him at a depth of 195 feet, 59 meters. Shocked, he tried to assist, but the tunnel was too narrow for both of them to move freely. Shane began to panic, breathing rapidly. His rebreather couldn't keep up, and he switched to his emergency air supply. Trying to escape, Shane kicked and thrashed, damaging Mike's suit and regulator in the process. He managed to free himself, but accidentally lost the guide rope, leaving him completely disoriented. His breathing became erratic, and his rebreather malfunctioned. Unable to regulate his oxygen intake, Shane suffocated and lost consciousness. Mike, still struggling to find his way out, eventually located Shane's lifeless body wedged between rocks. With no choice but to leave him behind, he made the long, grueling ascent alone. The next day, he led the recovery team back to retrieve Shane's remains. The Culverson Creek Cave Disaster. On November 28, 1985, a group of 7 cavers entered the Fuller's entrance of Culverson Creek Cave in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. Due to heavy rains, they had changed their plans from exploring Friar's Hole, opting instead for a supposedly safer route. However, just minutes into their descent, tragedy struck. As 26-year-old Eric Sackle stepped onto a boulder, it suddenly shifted, pinning him by his head against the cave wall. Despite frantic attempts by his companions to move the rock, they were unable to free him. Within minutes, Eric lost consciousness. By the time rescuers arrived, it was too late. The cave had claimed another victim. These tragic stories serve as a reminder of the deadly dangers of the underground world. Explorers must understand the risks and respect the abyss, for it does not forgive mistakes.